Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before I begin today, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you for your support. I announced a few weeks ago I was taking 1 week off from posting videos, and I received so many kind comments and messages. Yeah, you guys are just the absolute best. But anyways, I'm back and I have a Q&A for you today. I asked you guys to submit your questions to me, and you guys sent in some really good ones, but you sent a lot. So what I decided is I'm going to break this Q&A up into two parts. The first part, which is the video you're watching today, is going to be more personal questions. A lot of you had questions about me living in Australia, what it's like, how I came to live here, and just my opinion on different things. So that is going to be the topic of today. The second part will be questions relating to health and nutrition. So the carnivore diet, sugar cravings, all that good stuff. That will be in the next video. I'm going to be filming both videos today, but I'm not sure if I'll upload them back to back or space them out or upload the second one as a bonus video. We'll see, but just know that there are two Q&A videos coming your way. All right, so let's get started. A lot of you had questions about Australia, about me living here, how it came to be. So I think we'll start with that. If you guys can't tell by my accent, I am obviously not Australian. I am Canadian. And I know that majority of the people who watch me are from the US. I think it's something like 60%. And then that's followed by Canada, Australia, the UK. So I understand your curiosity with Australia. This may be a bit personal, but I've always wondered how you ended up living in Australia. And what's life like there? My dream is to retire there one day. Short answer to how I ended up in Australia is my boyfriend is Australian. We've been together for almost 7 years now. We originally met in Australia. I had a friend from Canada who was doing an exchange program through her university and was studying at a university in Adelaide. So she was here for a semester and she became friends with my now current boyfriend. And while she was studying, she kept messaging me and being like, you have to come visit, you have to come visit. And I was kind of on the fence. First off, the cost of flights to Australia, it's expensive. And I don't know, Australia wasn't really on the top of my bucket list. It had always just kind of been like this mystical place. But I don't know, I didn't have like an overwhelming urgency to travel to Australia. Anyways, my mom ended up convincing me. She's like, you have to go, you have to do this. Like, when else are you gonna have this chance? My mom regrets pushing me to do it now. My friend was friends with my current boyfriend, so I met him through her, and then we stayed in touch when I went home. Then he originally came to visit me. I was then living in the Cayman Islands, and then he came to Canada. Then I went to Australia and lived for a year. Then we went back to Canada for 2 years, and now we are, I guess, permanently in Australia. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I just had my permanent residency visa approved, so that's super exciting. So that is how I came to be in Australia, and I've been living here, I think, a bit over 3 years now. So what is life like in Australia? It's funny because, as I said before, I kind of viewed Australia as like this mystical place. You picture the beaches everywhere, the sun, the kangaroos. It just seems amazing, like this fantasy land. And yes, it is pretty great. It isn't all beaches and kangaroos and sun. It actually gets pretty cold where I live in South Australia. But it's funny because I've talked to quite a few people who are Australian and view Canada the same way that Canadians view Australia, as this amazing place and just like a fantasy land. And I'm kind of like, really? You live in Australia. Australia is the fantasy land. So I just think that is really funny. But honestly, the quality of life here is, it's really good. Things just seem to work a little bit more seamlessly here than in Canada, I want to say. Minimum wage is way higher than it is in Canada, almost double. You get paid more if you work on weekends and even more if you work on holidays. As a casual employee, I think you make $30 per hour on Sundays. I live in Adelaide, South Australia, which is not really a big city. I think the population of Adelaide is, I want to say like 1 or 2 million, so pretty small. In terms of crime and feeling safe, this may be more to do with the fact that Adelaide isn't a big city, but I feel so safe living here. Oftentimes I go for walks at night and I'm like on my phone, have my big headphones on, and I kind of think to myself, oh, like, is this safe? And yeah, I feel like totally safe. They do a lot of things right in Australia. For instance, tax is always included in the price. So the price you see on a sign, that is the price, which is usually not the case in North America. I know it depends based on your province or state sometimes, but yeah, just across Australia, the price you see, that's the price you get. Also, because the minimum wage is so much higher here, you're not expected to tip anyone. You don't tip at restaurants. You don't tip when like you get your hair or your nails done. No services like that. It's just not expected. So again, the price you see when you go out to eat, that is the price. And my mom cannot wrap her head around that every time she comes to visit. She just wants to tip and she feels bad. And I tell her, it's not expected in the slightest. Like, no one will even bat an eye if you don't tip them. Okay, so some more questions relating to Australia. I'd also like to know the differences, pros/likes, and cons/dislikes you've discovered from living in both Canada and Australia. Honestly, leaving Canada, it made me appreciate it a lot more. I think this might just be a South Australia/Adelaide thing, and this probably goes both ways. This is probably a pro and a con. Some things are just less convenient here. By that, I mean stores are usually open 9 till 5. And I mean like all types of stores. The bank, the post office, clothing stores, all just open 9 till 5. And I mean, that's totally fine for me, who's someone who is self-employed. I work from home, so that doesn't get in the way too much. But I always wonder, how do people who are working a 9 to 5 job go to the post office, for instance? Thursday nights are considered late night shopping, and I think a lot of malls are open till 9 p.m. Ooh, crazy. So yeah, that's just one thing that is a lot more convenient in Canada. Even some grocery stores where I'm from in Toronto are open 24 hours a day. Honestly, I really like both. I am extremely blessed to have been born in an amazing country like Canada, to have grown up there, and I am extremely blessed to now be living in Australia. The cool thing about Australia is there are a lot of different climates. So pretty much everywhere gets really hot. Summer in Adelaide is 40 plus degrees Celsius. But then winter here, it gets to, like, some mornings it's 1-2 degrees when I wake up. But then there's places like Queensland where it's entirely tropical and summer all year round. And then there's places like Tasmania. Oh, I went to Tasmania at the start of the year, just before the whole pandemic happened. And one thing I thought was really interesting, we spent one day in like a rainforest where it rained, I want to say 300 plus days out of the year. It might have even been more than that. And then in the same day, I think it might have only been like a 5-hour drive, we were somewhere where they were in a huge drought. And we went on a tour, and the tour guide was telling us that their one freshwater source was going to dry up like within a couple of weeks, and they were going to have to start importing water from elsewhere in Tasmania. And that just blew my mind. You have one place that it's raining almost every day of the year, and then another place where there's no rain and the lake is literally drying up. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool places in Australia, but again, there's a lot of really cool places in Canada. Another one of my favorite things is definitely the wildlife. It is pretty cool to just be driving and see a kangaroo hopping down the side of the road, or to see a koala bear in a tree. Someone asked, can you teach us some Aussie slang? Okay, there are 3 words that are used very commonly in Australia, which have now made their way into my vocabulary, and I say them, but I sometimes feel weird saying them. Those words are keen, heaps, and reckon. So I might say, I'm keen to go to the beach today. Oh my god, it sounds so awkward when I say it like that. But it's not really Aussie slang. These are just words that are not common in North America. And then reckon, same sort of thing. I reckon I might go to the beach today. And heaps. I think this might be a South Australia specific one, but pretty much it substitutes for the word lots. I'm heaps excited. I have heaps of homework. Yeah, those are 3 that I use regularly now that sounded completely bizarre to me when I first heard them. Oh, so everything in Australia gets condensed. McDonald's, they'll call Macca's. Afternoon is Arvo. Breakfast is brekkie. They also like to add O to the end of things. So like a liquor store would be bottle-o. Gas station. Oh, okay. Well, first off, they call gas stations petrol stations, but then it's also referred to as a servo. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? I mean, like I said, I do really love Canada. Although I don't think I've mentioned yet, I absolutely hate winter. I love summer. I love the heat. I hate the cold. So Canadian winters, they just don't do it for me. Anywhere in the world. So I used to really, really want to live in Cambodia. This all started from me wanting to do a bicycle tour around Cambodia and Thailand and Vietnam. And I still want to do that someday. But anyways, just looking into Cambodia specifically, there's supposed to be some beautiful beaches. It's supposed to be a really inexpensive cost of living. The people there are supposed to be among the nicest in the world. I wouldn't say that's my dream anymore. I'm pretty content with where I am right now. So I would like to live on the beach somewhere though. So somewhere on the beach. Are you single? Asking for me, not a friend. You guys, you honestly flatter me, but no, I'm not single. I'm sorry. Hopefully not too personal. Do you see yourself married with carnivore babies one day? Honestly, yeah, I would like to be married someday, I think, but again, just content with where I am and not something I see in my immediate future. Babies especially, they are not in my immediate future, I hope. My one fur baby Zeus, he is enough for right now. How did you come into keto and how did you go from keto to carnivore? I actually did a video on my entire health and fitness journey about a month ago now. So if you want a more detailed explanation into how I got started with keto and carnivore and before that and after that and everything, I'll link that up above. The short version is I first wanted to improve my health, clean up my diet, and I started by cutting out sugar. I went paleo. From there, that led me to keto, and I just felt amazing reducing carbohydrates. With keto, my one problem though was I got caught up with the keto treats and making fat bombs, things like that. I was making just a whole bunch of replacement foods for the bad foods I had been eating previously. And honestly, the best way to do any diet is to do a whole foods version. So yeah, didn't feel 100% on keto anymore. Heard about the carnivore diet through Sean Baker on Joe Rogan. Thought it was insane. Then I started hearing more and more people talking about it. So that sparked my interest. I thought I had to give it a try. And yeah, from there I went carnivore, and after my 30 days, I started adding some keto foods back in, but still remained mainly carnivore, and that is pretty much how I eat up until this day. But yeah, that is the very short version. The longer version, I talk more about struggling with sugar addiction, about my struggle with amenorrhea, with weight loss and things like that. So yeah, if you want to know more about my personal journey, you can check out that video. What do you miss the most on a carnivore diet? So like I just said, I don't eat 100% carnivore. I do include some keto-friendly plants, the odd vegetable here and there, avocado, sometimes I have tomato sauce. Honestly, I used to be such a sugar addict, and all the foods I miss, I know I am so much better without. Ice cream, for example, I absolutely love ice cream, and I've bought a few low-carb ones here and there in the past, and honestly, I'll just end up eating the whole tub because even though they don't have actual sugar in them, the sweeteners still do the same thing in making me crave sweet foods more. So ice cream, that is a big one. Nut butters, while I was paleo and keto, I love a good nut butter, but same thing. I start eating it and I can't stop. But all of this said, I am not super strict. When I'm eating at home, when I'm making my own meals, yeah, I am mainly animal-based. But when I eat out, I cut myself some slack. If I can't eat paleo, if I can eat keto while I'm out, then yeah, I'll do that. But sometimes I just want something else, and I don't feel guilty for that. If it's someone's birthday and they have a cake, I might have a slice. It's what you do the majority of the time and not the minority of the time that makes the difference. And this ties in with the next one. How do you deal with socializing with non-carnivores? Do you say no to every cake, dessert, and biscuits friends offer you? So I kind of just answered this. But okay, when I first started my health journey and I first started reading about how bad sugar was for the body, I was hardcore. I would not have any cake, any cookies, anything ever. I have since dialed that back a bit. I know my limits. I know my triggers. I know that if I have a box of cookies in my house, I'm going to eat them all within a day. So I don't put myself in that situation. But if I'm out and yeah, it's someone's birthday, they're having a cake, I might have a slice. That said, I also do not go out very often. If you're someone who goes out a lot, you might need to be more strict, but I don't know. This is the approach that I've found works for me, and this is what I'm doing currently. This might change in the future, who knows, but right now, this works for me. Who inspires you? Can you tell us the YouTubers, bloggers, etc. that you follow? Some of the people in the, I guess, health space that I look up to, I really like Diana Rogers. She's a registered dietitian and she goes by the handle Sustainable Dish. She has a documentary coming out and a book coming out all about sustainable agriculture, and she really emphasizes the importance of meat in our diets without being like a pushy carnivore. Like, she's not a carnivore advocate at all, but she just realizes that meat is super, super important. I really look up to her. I love her approach. I love listening to her on podcasts and whatnot, and I'm super excited for her documentary to come out. Beyond that, Dr. Ken Berry obviously just has some of the best YouTube videos. He has a YouTube video on everything, I swear. Sometimes someone will ask me a question and I don't have the answer off the top of my head, and I'll just search on YouTube Dr. Ken Berry and whatever they asked me, and he has a video on it, and I just send that on to them. Beyond that, Cynthia, I think it's Turlo. She's a really big advocate for intermittent fasting, and I really like her approach. I follow her on Twitter. She always has great things to say. Oh, Dr. Anthony Gustin. He is the founder of Perfect Keto. Absolutely love his podcast and following him on Instagram. Again, always just has really great things to say. Dr. Fit and Fabulous on Instagram. She's a gynecologist who promotes keto and carnivore and she is honestly just such a badass. She is fitness goals and mom goals and life goals, just everything goals. There are so many people I could name, but yeah, that's just a few off the top of my head. What are your favorite books? Books, okay. I do have a whole page on my website that is dedicated to my favorite books, so if you want the full list, I will link that above. My top nutrition book recommendation is Deep Nutrition by Kate Shanahan, and absolutely fantastic. Talks about using an ancestral diet to optimize our health, and yeah, that's just the Bible pretty much. Weston A. Price, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. That is a really old book. I'm pretty sure it's over 100 years old now, but just fantastic. He was a dentist who traveled around the world looking at ancestral diets and trying to figure out why modern day people were so sick, basically, and people eating an ancestral diet were so healthy. The Case Against Sugar by Gary Taubes. The Circadian Code by Dr. Sachin Panda. That's a good one on sleep. I've also been posting books on my Instagram as well. So if you don't follow me there, I do some like mini review posts periodically. What kind of music do you listen to? There are two genres of music I really like. I really like acoustic music and just laid back, that sort of chill vibe. And then the second genre I love, like the most generic mainstream pop. Not all of it, but there are certain songs that are just such a jam, especially mainstream pop from 10, 15 years ago. You know those songs you can just sing along to and they're just so fun? Yeah, absolutely love a good generic pop song. What are your favorite skincare products? This is something I get asked about semi-regularly, and I've went to make a video on skincare and beauty. I actually started filming it and then realized I have no idea what I am talking about. Honestly, I am so minimal when it comes to skincare and just beauty in general. I use like minimal makeup. I don't know if I should admit this, but I don't wash my face regularly. I wash it when I'm in the shower. I don't know, maybe once a week. I have a beef tallow skin moisturizer that I use. That is fantastic. Use that. Don't even use it every day. I only use it when my skin's dry, but really, really like that. Redmond has some really good beauty products, face scrubs, toothpastes that are all natural. Those are good, but beyond that, I do not have much to say. And I think this is going to be the last question for today. Have you ever hunted your own meat? Is it something you hope to do one day? I feel like I go through phases with this. On one hand, I feel really drawn to the idea of raising my own meat, hunting my own meat, being a part of the food process. But on the other hand, that's just not a reality for me. And I don't think that everyone has to hunt their own meat, obviously. That said, my partner does go hunting. He hunts goats, he hunts rabbits, and we eat that occasionally, although he hasn't went for a while. I mean, doing it myself personally, like I said, on one hand, I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to the idea of being more connected with my food, but on the other hand, I'm not. And I think that's okay. Anyways, that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A, and thank you again for all your support. I love you guys. When the second part to this Q&A is out, I will link it here. If you want to catch up on my most recent upload, you can click here. And if you want to get started on a keto or carnivore diet, you can check out my coaching programs here. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.